Good morning, VIPs. Well, good news is bad news. I think we nailed the timing of this again. It's been a couple days we've been talking about time to take some off the table because of CPI numbers next week. And actually, I didn't know this wasn't on my radar, but maybe we got a little bit lucky. I always take off a few days ahead of time. I'm not waiting until the last minute because I think there's other people out there with the same game plan I have. That's why with CPI on August 10th, already I started thinking about taking some off the table August 3rd, August 4th, especially the things that have been up big. So this morning, we get strong jobs data just out, just like minutes ago, and immediately the markets dove because the chances of a 75 basis point hike increased appreciably from, I guess, 50 basis points. So that's the story. Good news is bad news. Economy is strong. The Fed can continue to be very aggressive. It's happy with the moves we made. I did sell Square ahead of earnings. We'll talk about that. See, Square is down 7%. So yeah, this could be the correction, a little bit of a small correction. I don't think this is going to be a big one personally, but we'll have to see and wait. Let me just look at the cues. You can see the 20 DMA here, 304. Could that be the pullback when we get to 304? But then data is going to come in the middle. CPI August 10th, which is next Wednesday, and that might determine the direction. But for now, is it possible? Also see maybe 310, 304 in this area, a pullback. But at this point, I have no reason to believe we're going to hit newer lows at this point. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Anyway, that's the big picture story. We got lots of news to talk about. Man, Clearfield keeps blowing it out of the park. By the way, top positions I've been advocating for quite a while now are Clearfield, RELL, AIR, and PLAB. And all of these charts are just taken off still. PLAB close to a 52-week high every single day. AIR has been taken off. RELL hanging out near the tops, not really taken off. But Clearfield, unbelievable. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen a chart like this. Look at this. Straight up. And it can get pretty violent from here because we just had some news yesterday that Clearfield is replacing Celsius in the S&P small cap 600. Clearfield replacing Celsius in the S&P small cap 600. And you can see the reaction Clearfield had here in after hours, a new 52-week high, up 6%. I guess it's about 140,000 shares. Someone in our community offered up some data for us, roughly speaking. It could be a little bit more, it could be less. 140,000 shares a show that would have to be purchased by some funds to reflect this move into the S&P. So I still own this. We'll see. August 10th, they're going in. August 10th. So I might actually sell August 9th because there could be some buying pressure between now and the end of day August 9th so that they're going to have the right exposure for August 10th. So I may sell some on August 9th. So we'll look at that. Now, Celsius, so why is Celsius down? Because Celsius has actually gotten upgraded from the S&P small cap 600 to the S&P mid cap 400. It's down, though, because last night and after hours, there are a couple insider sales amounting to at least $30 million from directors, not from executives, but from directors, from what I saw. So Celsius pulling back, man, I was really expecting this to test and break out of that cup with these higher lows every day, getting closer, retesting that 110. So right now, the sentiment's going to be poor. Combine that with what's happening with the markets this morning, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. I did pare back a little bit Celsius the last couple of days, but I still have a nice position in there. So I'm obviously hoping that this will somehow retest the 110. But I got to acknowledge this is a sentiment killer after it's been up so much, and we could have a decent pullback. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. At Celsius Square, I told missed earnings. It wasn't really a miss. I think guidance was bad. Let's see. Let's look at this. There was definitely a bad. Yeah, they slightly beat estimates. Yeah, revenue and EPS was a beat, but shares full on outlook. Okay, shares fell on the outlook. That's Square. So that's the story there. SIGA. SIGA earnings were last live streamed it, and I asked a question of management on the SIGA call. So I was actually very happy with this call. I think the downside here is really protected. Very happy with, they have basically no capex to scale this up to at least $300 million in sales. There's going to be no risk of an offering to be able to do that. They're getting calls like crazy, and this monkeypox thing, it's also acting as a tailwind for governments to think, oh, let's stockpile this same drug also for smallpox. And I think there's another virus, I forget the name, but there's like 3 or 4 viruses in the same family that it could potentially be used for. And we also found out from the question I asked that they're expecting another 100 million in orders, 110 million or so in orders for smallpox stockpiling by the U.S. government in 2023. That alone gave them over $1 EPS in Q1 of 2021. So I think the downside is pretty protected here, and this stock is going to be free to trade purely on headlines and sentiment and technicals. And I think we can ride up this 20 DMA pretty safely until or unless bad news hits, and bad news could always hit at some time, right? It's going to be a few months though till they get efficacy data in on monkeypox with their drugs. So I think we got the all clear right now. Mostly playing this, as I've been saying, through short puts with my effective purchase price down around 14 bucks if the trade fails. All right, I got a couple things wrong yesterday. BCRX, I just didn't participate. That's what I got wrong. I said, you know what? I'm not jumping into this because the stock's been so volatile. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't the wrong thing, because maybe if I jumped into it, I would have been too late. And look at the pullback here. I showed you the very volatile chart, but throughout the morning, we got nothing but really, really good comments from people in our community who follow this closely. They said it was a home run. Is the best they could have expected from this conference call. And this morning, we're seeing a couple analyst changes. One of them raised the price target to 14, but another one was cut to perform from outperform. That's Oppenheimer. Barclays was the one that cut it to 14. So some mixed analyst signals out here, potentially showing there's not a lot of upside. At least that's what they think right now. Of course, these analysts are never reliable, but anyway, if I jumped on this in pre-market yesterday, I obviously could have made a couple bucks quickly, but I did miss that one. Congrats to you guys who were in it and who are able to take advantage of that. Another one I got wrong yesterday was Identiv. I said, you know what? I'm tired of this. They're not making a profit, so I decided to sell it. Didn't get a great price. I sold it right at the open at $14. It went along and made a move to $15. I wouldn't be surprised if it pullbacks now, because especially this one, especially with higher interest rates. Economy strong, higher interest rates. Which stocks are going to be hit? The ones not making money yet. Higher interest rates are bad for companies not making money yet and risk assets. So I'm not sure that this rally could continue with INVE. Now, I took that money in INVE, by the way, and I put it in. Let's see if I can find it here. Put it in a new stock that was identified by Julian, CVV, yesterday, and actually pretty much made back the opportunity loss I had by holding INVE. Made it back really quickly here, because I got into CVV at like $5.30 yesterday. So we'll talk about that more in just a second. That's a new stock to our community, brought to our attention by Julian, and we were researching it all day long. Julian Sanjay stepping in with really good research. So potentially that's the real deal. Actually, let's talk about it right now. So CVV, silicon carbide manufacturer for EVs. In fact, there was a press release about this in July, and that's why the stock has been taken off since July 14th from $4. It's all to do with this press release that they're growing rapidly because of silicon carbide manufacturing for electric vehicles. So that's obviously a sexy headline that, harkens back to AEHR, but that's just, you can't make an investment based only on that. Although I stepped in a starter position, the starter position worked, but we got to do a lot more research. So we're going to continue talking about this And we've actually already reached out to management to see if we can bring them for an interview to find out if this is something that's a keeper or not. So that's CVV. I'm still holding on to GOEV. It's still holding the 20 DMA barely. This is a trade I put out the other day. We did have good sentiment from the back. They had some dilution holding the 20. Can we get a secondary pop after that Walmart news? That's what I'm hoping for. If it fails down here, I may sell it because it could go to $3 or so, 320, $3 downside if it seems like it's gonna not hold on to that 20 DMA. So that's Go EV. That's just a trade for me, not an investment because they have a lot of capex, a lot of money they need to raise. Air just off the hook. What a close yesterday on high volume. Oh my gosh. And then after hours, another big volume candle. This thing went to $15 and pulling back now because of the market. But let me just show you this. That was pointed out by Chris, has been monitoring these March $5 calls every day. Someone's buying a couple thousand contracts of the March $5 calls. This 8,700 OI, that translates into 870,000 shares the market makers have to buy. And, I think it may be possible this entire move the last several days over the 200 DMA may be because of that single buyer on the $5 in the money calls. When you're that deep in the money, the market makers are probably, pretty much going to have to buy that entire amount, that 870,000 shares to cover themselves. So if you look at the volume here, 1.72 million, 1.3 million, like 870,000 shares is a big chunk of the daily volume over the last few days. So I think it's that singular buyer responsible for pulling this over the 200 DMA. What does that buyer know? Is that an institution? It seems like it. We're talking several millions of dollars. I think it's $5-6 million, maybe more, that's moving in on that purchase. So that could be an institution looking for a little bit of leverage by going with the calls, the $5 in the money calls. So that's been some interesting price action on that. I've been calling for 15. I didn't really take any action. I said, you know what? If this breaks the 200 DMA, next stop is 15. We hit 15 right on the nose. I love these technicals sometimes. They work so well on the chart here. And you can see where I picked that up right there, this little gap. That's right at about 1520 or so. This little gap here on January 12th, right around the low 15s, and I just rounded it down to 15. Also, we had all these support candles. I have a video on this. So it hit 15, pulled back, just amazing. So that's the story with air. So we could get a pullback here at this point. Who knows? Maybe it retouches the 200 DMA, and that could be a entry point for some people if you're interested. All right, PLAB. Listen, everything's going to be pulling back with the market right now, but PLAB every day close to 200, close to 52-week moving averages. I'm still holding this one of my core positions. I can't wait for earnings. I think it's going to be a good report, so we'll see on PLAB. RELL, as I said, one of the top 4 picks I've been pushing. This one not really breaking out, but hanging out near the highs. When hanging out near the highs, maybe it's something. If it pulls back to the 20 or 50 DMA, you can see all the times it bounces off the 20, off the 50. That could be a good entry if we're going to continue to have a pullback into CPI next week. VTSI, I've been disappointed about, but we're at support here. I would be very disappointed and a little bit surprised, more than a little bit surprised, if we went back to the lows here at 450. I really did like that report, and we have 2 more catalysts coming up. We have 2 more earnings reports in the next 2 weeks for Q1 and Q2 as they catch up on those earnings reports. And I think this could be a good entry. The problem with this, it's not liquid, right? So, to be honest with you, I'm souring on these e-liquid names, having a lot more fun, obviously, trading PLAB and AIR and Clearfield, lots of liquidity, lots of options. So that's the problem, is illiquidity. But technically speaking, it's at a good spot. Both the 50 and 20 DMA support levels are here. If it does, for some reason, go below this, I may actually buy more because I don't think it's going to last. This, in my view, should hold that 2050 DMA. So we'll see. We have 2 more catalysts coming up. KODK chart has just been spectacular as we wait for earnings next week, pulling back a little bit here. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Another stock here I brought to your attention yesterday, LUCD. I've talked to management before, and we have invited them. Actually, they're going to be on a StoryTrading VIP event coming up soon, just for VIPs on Zoom later this month. I just got that confirmation this morning. I'll share those details with the community shortly. Update on this stock. Obviously, it's pulled up a lot because of what's going on with the risk asset rebound. But this is an interesting story in terms of pre-cancer screening. They had some good news yesterday, and I don't have a position in this currently, but I'm starting to pay attention more. And maybe we'll start researching this ahead of management showing up to our community later this month. That's LUCD. SMSI broke out at 3. That was the support, resistance. It temporarily broke out. So $3 was the resistance. What did it close at? So it didn't really close. It didn't really make it because you got to close over that level here. So we'll see if it tries again to close over $3. And you all know the story here. We just got to wait and see. Wait for those earnings. You can see how important the $3 level is on SMSI. All right, that's about it. We're monitoring, obviously, INVE and AGRX, XXII, DRIO. We're waiting for news. What's going on here? I thought the earnings PR should have been out already, so I'm pretty disappointed. I may have reached out to management and just double check when earnings are. It should be like next week at this point. I don't know why we didn't get the PR yet for that. So, what was the other one? IPI. They missed on earnings this morning. I did not hold this going to earnings. Making money hand over fist, 5 PE, but they did miss on the bottom line, 182 versus 199. They beat on the top line. So, in summary, good news is bad news. Let's take a look at the QQQ since we started the show. And the SPY's down 1%, QQQ down 1.5%. Fed can be aggressive again today. Potentially, we can pull back all the way to the 20 DMA. I'm not sure it's going to do that until we get CPI. Let's see what CPI shows. I'm not too worried about this pullback. Obviously, stocks are going to pull back, but I'm not too worried about, we're going to get to new bottoms or things are going to wash out again. For now, I am thinking the bottom is in until we have data that proves otherwise, until we have a chart that proves otherwise, or flashes warning signs. I don't see any major warning signs that we're going to hit a new bottom at this point right now. The economy is very strong. Let's see what inflation shows next week, and then maybe we'll adjust our thinking. So thanks, everyone. We're going to have our show, I guess, Monday night. I'm thinking I'm going to see if we can get a show, maybe a collaborative research session on CVV, that new silicon carbide EV stock. Looks very interesting. Seems to be a lot of interest in it from our community. So maybe we'll talk about CVV Monday night if we get some participants who are able to do that. We'll keep you updated on that. Otherwise, good luck today. Thanks for joining us. And as always, make sure to spread the word. This comes out at 4 p.m. for non-VIPs. If you see it posted on our StoryTrading handle on Twitter, definitely go ahead, like and retweet that. Let's get the word out. So good luck, everyone, today. Thanks for joining us.